you're thinking 10 steps ahead of where you are. If you understood the variables you need to understand to make the decision, you wouldn't be asking me this question right now. But you can make a lot of money rezoning thing. I had a friend that bought a commercial property in Nevada for about $11 million. Gets it rezoned for high density residential. Paid $11 million. Less than 2 years later, sells it for $53. Salvador says, hey, Derek. One question I have right now is regarding the creation of LLCs for real estate. As a real estate investor, is it best to create an LLC for rental properties and another for owned properties? I would appreciate your input on this. Thank you. Well, it depends, what you mean by owned properties. I'm not quite sure. For rental properties, I agree. I think it makes sense that you should isolate that from your personal assets, so there's no confusion in the courts that if you have a lawsuit with a tenant for some reason, or somebody that gets injured on your property that might have been a guest of the tenant or just an idiot trespassing that does something stupid and injures themselves, you don't want to have any personal liability for somebody else's buffoonery. So I think that's for sure on rental properties. You could have an S corp, you could do other things, but I think LLCs make a lot of sense for rental properties. Now going back to what you were saying about, I think you said owned properties. Yes. Then it depends what you're doing with that. If I don't know that you need to have your private residence in an LLC. A lot of people might use a trust for that. A lot of people protect personal assets in a trust more commonly than an LLC. You could do that in an LLC. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's a personal choice. But I think more wealthy people are going to use a trust to protect personal assets like their private residence. So you could talk to an estate attorney about the details of that, how trusts work and whatnot. But there's different types of trusts. There's self-directed trusts versus you have an independent trustee. There's onshore trusts, offshore trusts. There's a lot of different structures there that, depending where you live, may or may not be useful to you. Mr. Daniel says, hey, Derek, thanks for helping us along on our journey to become successful in real estate investors. I'm really starting to think more about the types of property I want to get into, and I'm wondering if you have any experience or knowledge in choosing commercial real estate that consists of condo/office unit properties. It seems like a great way to rent, capitalize, the screen moved, on both business tenants and residential tenants. There's a lot of buildings. Plenty of condo buildings have, a commercial component, if that's what you're thinking. There's plenty of properties that do that are, primarily a condo building, but again, they have some commercial component of, businesses in the same building. And I'm not sure if you're having something else in mind, but there's nothing magical about it. So, or you're saying offices. So I don't know if you mean, I don't know. There's plenty of condo buildings that have offices or other businesses operating in the same building. Do you want to do both? I don't know. Usually those buildings are, people have a bias towards new. So, there's, condos depreciate more rapidly than a single family home as a general rule. So people have a bias towards new. And so there's a bit of a lifespan about the both the condo and, operating a business there. So, are you relying solely on the condo tenants to support your business? Or do you also have street traffic or so on and so on? Are you on the ground floor that you're open to the public and it just happens to be in a condo building? Or, are you somewhere hidden away that the public's not really going to find you and you're just relying on the tenants of the condo building? In which case you might have lower quality tenants over time, that it might be a hot building for a while, but 15 years later, after a new one gets built and some of those people move away, you might not have the same circumstances. And I've seen commercial real estate in buildings like that where it's really not worth much, that it's, it can be quite sad actually. So be careful, be a little careful with that, be a little mindful. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with what you're saying, but just be mindful of, what you're doing there. That might not work how you think long term. Follow up, I'll go along with it. I'm wondering what you think about commercial real estate as a whole, as it seems that more and more businesses are making budget cuts, getting rid of real estate, and many commercial buildings are being turned into residential properties. Do you or know anyone who has turned a commercial property into a residential one? I'm wondering if I should stay away from that or take advantage of those opportunities as they become available, assuming I have a good contractor and skilled workers to partner with. I mean, bro, you're talking about, whole buildings now, and you don't even have you're 10 steps ahead. You're thinking 10 steps ahead of where you are. And, if you understood the variables you need to understand to make the decision, you wouldn't be asking me this question right now. But, you can make a lot of money rezoning thing. I had a friend that bought a commercial property, 2006 or so. 2006, 2005, buys a commercial property in Nevada for about $11 million, gets it rezoned for high-density residential. They make a master plan to put in some high-density residential towers. They sell that to a developer with the new rezoning, and for 50-something million, 53 million maybe. Paid 11 million, less than 2 years later, sells it for 53. And it's just a piece of land. So, is there big money to be made in rezonings? Yeah, for sure, if you do it the right way. But, you know how hard that is? That you have to know city politicians, you have to have their cooperation, you have to not have neighbors and whatnot that are going to get pissed off and give the politicians a hard time. You got to do all endless paperwork and bullshit and more bullshit and more bullshit. And a lot of things can go wrong. And the market can change. Even if you did all of that right in the time that you do it, the market could change dramatically. A lot of things can go against you. So don't count on that. And, get some more experience under your belt doing some smaller deals before you worry about taking over whole buildings and rezonings, and get some more experience under your belt first, homie. Some people are confused. They say, Derek, what is the 10 Commandments of wealth? Not the 10 maybes of wealth. It's the 10 core things that you're going to need to know about in detail if you'd like to accumulate significant wealth in your lifetime. Click this link up here to find more information of exactly what is the 10 Commandments of wealth, how is the program structured, what's inside of it, how are you going to benefit from it. If you're doing well already and you'd like to do better, click that link and find out more. There's over 100 hours of content in this program. I've interviewed dozens of world champions that shared what it took for them to win, to be the top Hall of Fame athletes in their respective areas. And I brought a lot of other superstars in there from business, from legal, people that are real world entrepreneurs that made serious money, as I have myself. We all share with you what are the foundations you're going to need to know if you want to be successful yourself. Be a chooser, not a loser. Click that link, find out more. I'll see you inside.